Now we are going to discuss the equal area criterion. So let me once again draw the curve, swing curve. So you have two possible solutions which we have discussed in the previous session. So one is when you're operating at a point delta naught. After a disturbance, your delta value is going to increase. It's not going to increase linearly, it is going to increase parabolically because your equation is a second order differential equation. So second order equation which is going to be non-linear increase. So in this case, your delta value is going to increase with time and it's never going to come down, and hence you call it as an unstable state. And you have one more case where your delta naught value slowly increases, but at some point it lowers, okay, and it oscillates and finally settles down at one point, which could be a different value of delta, but it's finally settling at one value. It is not going to keep on increase. Okay, so you call this as the stable response. So what creates a difference between the unstable and the stable response? It is the presence of this point. Okay, so where your uh, function is going to have a change in increase or decrease. So here at this point, beyond this point, your function is not going to increase and it's going to decrease. So there you have a change of state, right? So if you have, so you call that point as the maximum point, and if you want to know the maximum point, then you equate the first order derivative to 0. So if you have d delta by dt to be equal to 0, then your system is stable. So if you don't have d delta by dt to be 0, that is if d delta by dt is not equal to 0, then your system becomes unstable. So now let us relate the swing equation to equal area criteria, and then let us define what equal area criteria means. So when I do that, you'll understand why this criterion is known as an equal area criterion. So let me start from the swing equation again. Pm minus Pe is equal to h by pi f d square delta by dt square. So in place of Pm minus Pe, I am going to substitute Pa because Pa is equal to Pm minus Pe. So I just write here Pa to make it look simple, because we are going to play only with d delta by dt, right? So now I want d delta by dt, and hence, but here I have d square delta by dt square. So in order to convert this into d delta by dt, let me multiply both the sides with 2 d delta by dt. So I write the same equation and I just multiply both the sides with 2d delta by dt. So this 2d delta by dt into d square delta by dt square could be written as differentiation of d delta by dt the whole square. So let me explain that. So what is d by dt of d delta on dt whole square? So differentiate this term completely. Okay, so it has a square, right? So it has a square, so when you differentiate, that comes to the front, so you write d delta by dt, and then apply chain rule, you differentiate this term alone again, so you have d square delta by dt square. So it's vice versa, right? So now you have 2d delta by dt into Pa to be equal to d by dt d delta by dt the whole square. So here you have dt, right? Cancel them and then integrate them on both sides because you want an expression for d delta by dt, and that's going to get equated to 0 in order to know if my system is stable or not. So now let's integrate on both sides. So on integrating you have so here you have h by pi f, and let me bring this 2 cross multiply and bring it to the denominator on the other side. So here when you do the integration, it is integral PA d delta because PA is equal to PM minus PE and PE is equal to P max sine delta. So PA is a function of delta and hence it has to be integrated. H by pi f to pi f, h, pi, f are all constants. So I remove it out of the integration sign and you have integral of d delta by dt the whole square. So integral of dx is x, right? So similarly you have here h by 2 pi f d delta by dt the whole square. And as I said earlier, we are looking for an expression for d delta by dt. So now let me cross multiply and then take square root on both the sides. So I write the expression d delta by dt the whole square is equal to 2 pi f divided by h integral PAD delta. And now you have a square here, right? So take square root on both the sides and you'll have, okay, so I take square root and if you could see here you have an expression within the square root, and we know if the system is stable d delta by dt is equal to 0. So let me equate this expression named as equation number 1. Let this be equated to 0 because for a system to be stable d delta by dt is equal to 0. So now let me equate the term within the square root to 0. So which means 2 pi f divided by h integral p a d delta is 0. And f, h, pi are all constants and hence this term could never be equal to 0. So as this term is never 0, we could write that integral PAD delta is equal to 0. So in other words, I could say that the net accelerating power has to be 0. So whenever you talk about power, you might have accelerating power to be positive or it could be negative. So the positive accelerating power is known as accelerating power itself, and the negative value of power is known as the decelerating power. So this equation could also be written as integral over the accelerating power is equal to the decelerating power. Okay, so accelerating power and decelerating power have to be equal. So decelerating power, so they have to be, both have to be equal, and I could show that through a graph. So when you have a graph, and if you have a value of PM first. So your turbine is supplying some mechanical power PM, and suddenly you're going to increase this value of PM. So initially when your uh, system is having value of mechanical power as PM, okay, and if you are generating a value of electrical power PE, then the corresponding point, this point is said to be the operating point delta naught, right? But now you have suddenly increased your power to PM dash. So what is the expression for PA? PA is equal to PM minus PE. Suddenly you have increased PM to PM dash, and hence, so PM value at this instant is greater than the value of PE. So whatever value you have here corresponding to this curve is PE. So this PE value is less than PM dash, and hence you say that you have a positive power. So you have a positive accelerating power, and hence your machine starts to accelerate. That is, your rotor starts to rotate at high speed. So now your rotor is rotating at high speed, it has gained momentum, and hence your delta is going to increase. So your delta value is going to increase, and it has to suddenly stop at this point, but we know Newton's second law of motion. Any body which is set in motion cannot be stopped until and unless you apply an external force, right? So here you don't have any external force. So this rotor continues to rotate as long as it exhausts all the stored kinetic energy. So it the delta value reaches a different an increased delta. Okay, so it goes to a maximum of delta m, and at this point, so let me name this point as point A, and now discussing about point B. So at point B, if you see here, PE value is greater than PM dash. So PM dash minus PE is accelerating power, right? So PM dash is greater as less than PE, which means the net value PE is going to be negative. And because of this negative value, negative accelerating power, that is, you're going to have a deceleration. So your rotor is going to slow down. So now my rotor is going to slow down, and hence, okay, so it's tracing back. Earlier it was accelerated. Okay, so again it cannot stop abruptly at this point, and hence it goes beyond because of the stored kinetic energy, and because of all inertia concepts, and your rotor is going to swing back and forth. Okay, so that's what we have seen in this swing curve. Okay, so your rotor swings back and forth, and finally it settles at one new point, which I earlier named it as delta 1. So this is the point delta 1 where my rotor finally settles. And now let me tell you how this equal area criterion is getting applied. So I have rotor angle changing between, so rotor angle changes between delta naught and delta m, right? So PA d delta has to be equal to 0. So this is from equal area criterion. So equal area criterion is integral PA d delta equal to 0, right? So now I am just applying the limits of delta. Now, what is, let me expand this. So I have one more delta value in between. So delta naught to delta 1. So PM dash minus PE d delta, in place of PA I'm substituting, plus integral. So here itself, let me substitute. So instead of PE, I'm substituting PM dash minus PE, and then delta 1 to delta M, PM dash minus PE into d delta equal to 0. So let me now shade the area of the curve corresponding to delta to delta 1 PM dash minus PE. So here you have PM dash, and your delta value is going to vary from delta naught to delta 1, right? So delta is varying from delta naught to delta 1. So delta is varying from delta naught to delta 1, and P, it is PM dash minus PE, right? So delta naught to delta 1 d delta. So it is this portion of the curve. So delta is varying from delta to delta 1 here, and PM dash, so this is PM dash minus PE. PE is this curve, right? So this portion is corresponding to the first term. Similarly, let me shade the portion of curve that corresponds to the second term. So what is the second term? Second term is integral of delta 1 to delta M PM dash minus PE d delta. So where do I have this PM dash minus PE? So this is the line corresponding to PM dash. So this is the line corresponding to PM dash, right? So this is PM dash and this is PE, and my area has to lie between PM dash and PE. So this is the area between PM dash and PE, and I have to stop here at this point because delta varies from delta 1 to delta M. So we have two areas and we call these areas. So we call this area as the decelerating area, and you call this as the accelerating area. So let us rearrange the expression. So here in this expression you have two terms, one corresponding to the accelerating area and the other corresponding to the decelerating area, right? So equating, or if you're going to switch sides of the accelerating area and the decelerating area, we are going to get one equation. So you have areas being equated, so you call this as the equal area criterion. So we had integral delta naught to delta 1 PM dash minus PE d delta plus integral delta naught, delta 1 to delta M PM dash minus PE into d delta equal to 0. But you could see there from the curve that beyond the operating point, PE is greater than PM, which means this term is going to be negative. So let me take this negative term to the other side, so it becomes positive. So this negative term on taken to the other side, it becomes positive. This term is negative because the value of PE is greater than PM. So after switching sides, you have delta naught, delta 1, PM dash minus PE d delta to be equal to integral of delta 1 delta M PE minus PM dash into d delta. So this part on the left hand side of the equal to sign corresponds to the accelerating area, and the other term corresponds to the decelerating area. So accelerating area has to be equal to the decelerating area if my system has to be stable, and that's equal area criterion. Thank you.